So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and welcome to the 15 Pro Max versus the Pixel 8 Pro months later. Now let's begin by talking about the price and the value. First of all, the 15 Pro Max goes for right around $12.99 and goes up from there. The Pixel 8 Pro is $9.99, but right now it's on sale for $7.99. So from a sheer price standpoint, the Pixel 8 Pro right now, as we speak, is blowing the iPhone 15 Pro Max out of the water in terms of, what you're going to pay to get such a nice experience right now. And while in my best phones of the year, I called these two, I think it was number 3 and 2. Some people argued that no, they should be 2 and 1, depending on who said that. Some people wanted the Pixel first, some people wanted the iPhone first. They didn't like that the Galaxy was first, but I put the Galaxy first because of the sheer specs and hardware. It's just these phones didn't top it. So in terms of the body and the design, well, both of them are very good. I like that Google went to a flat screen on the Google Pixel 8 Pro. Super nice device here. I do want to give it to the iPhone 15 Pro Max here, not because it doesn't feel or look super similar to the previous versions, but because they really improved the way this phone feels in terms of the weight, the smooth sides compared to the previous versions, and it just feels a lot smoother and lighter to manage day to day. So I feel like it's more felt versus the Pixel 7 Pro, which was it was pretty nice as well. This one definitely feels a little different, but the changes in the feel of the phone are not as big to me on the Pixel, just because they just have like a similar aluminum shiny edge, a similar camera bar. It is flat, so that feels better, but it just doesn't feel massively different in terms of the feel, whereas they reduced the weight a lot. We went to titanium. It's a new finish. So I'm just going to have to give it to iPhone on that one for those reasons alone. But I do like the screen on the iPhone or on the Pixel 8 Pro. It's a little bit narrower, so it's a little bit easier to one hand, and I love that they went to flat display. It's a really nice touch. I also like the punch hole camera versus the huge dynamic island, but the dynamic island at least brings something to it that gives you a nice experience, so like the features that come with it. So it's kind of a toss-up there. Now, some of the display differences are actually quite noticeable between both of them. Mostly with the iPhone, you do notice that you have a little bit more brightness, even though the brightness levels are they're not that much different in the specification sheet. You feel like you get to use it a little bit more here on the iPhone. You do have really great brightness outdoors on the Pixel as well, though. But it does have a little bit more width in the aspect ratio, and the bezels, at least on the edges, feel slightly thinner. Not major, but slightly thinner. Also, I find that iOS in general kind of on the display is a little bit smoother when it's scrolling, even though, you do have a 120 hertz on both. I think it's down to iOS. It's just a little bit smoother across the board, a little bit more consistent on display front. But you also do get, true tone, dark mode, night shift, and accessibility settings that can really dim this display down. Now on the Google Pixel 8 Pro, you do have a really nice display as well. They're both OLED. If you go into the settings here for the Pixel 8 Pro and you scroll down into display, you scroll down a little bit more, you'll see you do have the ability to change different text sizes, obviously, but the color, under colors, you'll see natural and adaptive. So here you can choose between a more saturated or natural look on the panel. I really like that. It's very simple, very clean, and really helps out quite a bit. Also, you can change between a full resolution or a high resolution. The full resolution gives you more sharpness on the display. The high resolution will save you some battery. So that's a good touch. But I do notice the bezels are a little bit thicker, and the aspect ratio is slightly thinner or slightly more narrow. So you basically don't have quite as wide of a display. But it's still a very good one, and it's not that noticeable to most people. I just think either way you go here, you're pretty good. I did notice, though, that the Pixel, while it gets very bright, it doesn't seem as bright as the iPhone or the Galaxy in terms of usable. Like, I have to crank it way up to get the brightness. So I don't really like that because I feel like it's going to drain more battery over time. So which one is the better software experience after a couple of months? Well, iOS is iOS. It just works, and a lot of people really like the experience because it's that type of experience that when you are using it day to day, it just matches up with your iPad, it matches up with everything. It kind of just falls into the background of your life, and you don't really think about the software at all. Now, one thing that is kind of irritating about iPhones to me is that Apple releases thousands of updates, but they really don't really change the experience too much. So much so that when I'm making an iOS video, I really got to dig around and find something. I've even read articles on iOS updates where the people writing the articles will be like, if you find anything, please let us know in the comments. What do you think they're saying that? They're saying that because the changes are so small that they can't even find them. They're waiting for you to write a comment down below. Look, I found this. Like if the changes are that small that you got to dig around and look for them, that's not my favorite thing. But I do like how smooth the iOS experience is. I like how everything matches up. And I just think it's been basically the gold standard for so long. People love it. So it's really great, but there's not really a ton to talk about because the changes are kind of minuscule. Now, the Pixel has brought Google Bard to the forefront. So you can now do more AI things. You even see this AI ability in the wallpapers. Now, I always talk about how certain phones don't give you a lot of wallpapers, but over here, look, they're already giving you AI-based wallpapers. And this is just scratching the surface of what's to come. I mean, that's just a wallpaper. You could ask it things similar that you could ask to ChatGPT and things like that with Google Bard. So it's really quite nice. The software itself, though, is a very Google-fied experience, super smooth. I do like the alphabetical tray, though. It is very intuitive. You kind of just, your brain just like, if you work in a list format, you'll love this because you just swipe down and your brain just like, okay, where's the S apps? And you find the S apps. Where's the T apps? You find the T apps. Where's the Y apps? You find YouTube right there. On the home screens, though, a lot more clean than some other Android phones, but you don't have the ability to kind of pinch in and move those screens around like you do have on the iPhone. So you can go ahead and move them around, or you can kind of like close them out. You don't have the ability here, but it's easy to just download a launcher and give yourself that ability because this is Android after all. So a very Google-fied experience, very clean, simple. You do have night shift, extra dim, plenty of features up here. And if you go on to settings, while it is clean, they do have advanced feature modes as well. So if you do want to go into a little bit more depth here, you'll be able to do that. Like go to system, you go here to navigation, look at gestures. Gestures is like their advanced features. You go to navigation mode, you could change the navigation style. I mean, while it's simple, it still has quite a bit to play around with. It's kind of fun to use, but I would say in terms of the simplicity, it's probably the closest on Android you'll find to something like an iPhone in terms of that sheer ecosystem, simple feel that just kind of flows with your day to day and really doesn't look too messy or nothing like that. Now, 2 months later, when it comes to performance, they're basically equal with day to day stuff for sure. I do have to say that Google did improve the Pixel when it comes to the performance on the December patch. It's definitely quite noticeable. I do think still sometimes in scrolling, it just looks a little choppier than the iPhone. So if there's one thing Google can work on, it's just simply making the scrolling across all apps. If they can find a way to make the scrolling smoother, more consistent, we're done. There's nothing else to talk about because in terms of speed, Google can open some apps faster. Some it doesn't, but some it does. The day-to-day performance, even with Tensor G3 being not the most powerful option on the market, can still hang with the big boys, and it's a smart chip. It uses itself for AI and photography and Magic Eraser and stuff like that. And while this is not the top gaming phone out there, clearly it can still play games. It can still play obviously casual games, but it can still play things like I was playing Grand Theft Auto, the new Netflix collaboration they're doing. I was playing that and had no issues whatsoever, no lag, nothing like that. So, and that's a definitive edition. So I'm happy with both in the performance. I do think the iPhones is a little bit more powerful and consistent, but the Google's is just smarter and just feels like more cool because of the AI stuff. That's just how I feel about both of these in performance right now. Now, the battery life is very strong on the iPhone. You see my all-day vlog. If you haven't checked it out, it's a pretty much an all-day experience here for the iPhone 15 Pro Max and then some. Even with its high quality OLED ProMotion display, it now charges via USB-C. It's not the fastest out there to charge, but it does definitely provide the juice. Now the Pixel, when you first get it, doesn't perform as good as it does once it adapts to your usage. But once it does, this becomes an all-day phone as well. You'll see it has adaptive charging. You have battery share, battery widgets, stuff like that. But this is definitely an all-day phone as well. Again, both of these, if you do push them with the camera, you do push them with heavier usage, they do tend to not last as long. But that's just the nature of using any lithium-ion battery product, is if you're pushing it hard, it will drain the cells. That's just what it is. You know, it's a fact. Now, the Pixel, though, I will say, though, that after the December update, it doesn't get as warm either under heavier use. They definitely improved the efficiency and the temperature of the phone, as did Apple, because when both of these phones first came out, they both got kind of toasty, but the iPhone was abnormally toasty. So Apple improved that. Google improved the efficiency with December patch. Both of them are just doing really good right now. Now, I went out yesterday and took some photos with the camera, and here's one look. I'm going to show you it like this because I want to zoom in and show you. But the post-processing on the Pixel is just ridiculous. The sharpness and detail it can get, because it kind of recognizes the subject, I think beats this iPhone. You can see right there, if you start zooming in a little bit, you'll see more noise there. Now, this wasn't the best of days to take photos, but by the way, I got that squirrel. Look at the detail. Look at the detail right there on the squirrel. But let's go ahead. Like he was really craving some food here. But look at the detail on the Pixel. I mean, this is a photography beast right here. What a really nice camera phone right here. Another one here. So here is a picture of the Willis Tower in Chicago. You can see as we zoom in, very good detail. I think that's on the 5x zoom. And you'll see the Pixel able to bring in similar quality on both of them. So they both basically stack up in photography quite well. Now, taking a look at this photo, I do feel like the iPhone was a little bit brighter. We have a little bit of a darker image here. The Pixel is probably more realistic, but I do like the HDR. The Smart HDR5 that comes to the iPhone brightens things up. But let's go ahead and zoom in on this sign here. You can see very sharp detail. And then right here, also very sharp detail, but darker. So the images can be darker on the Pixel depending, but overall, you know, that sharpness with the AI is just really good. So that's about my take on the photography. I gotta say that the Pixel is probably the one I'm gonna go with in terms of the pure photography aspect. But when it comes to video, it's not that it's bad. The Pixel is very good and stable, super stable video with its EIS. But I'm going to go with the iPhone when it comes to video, just because the focus is just amazing. But you'll see they're doing this new AI stuff here with the video boost into the night mode as well. Cameras are great here on video as well. So it's not that they're not amazing. They're amazing on both. I just think the iPhone has a little bit easier to use, a little bit faster. Not really faster, but a little bit better video quality on the whole. It just feels more like a camcorder. The Pixel it's very sharp, but sometimes a little bit unnaturally sharp. So that's how I feel about the cameras overall after my couple of months of use. Audio performance was a little bit louder for my iPhone experience, but they both do have dual speakers, as you can see right there overall. But yeah, the audio experience a little bit louder on the iPhone, but the Pixels was pretty good as well. So it's not like a deal breaker for either phone. The phone calling experience and connectivity was very nice on both. It just depends if you have the AirPods or the Pixel Buds. I will say though that I love this. I just love the spam call stuff for Pixel. It's just amazing because you have some spam stuff. You can download some apps with your carrier as well with the iPhone. I just feel like spam gets through a little bit more on the iPhone. You got to be a little more careful. Especially in the messages, like Google can block out spam and it can recognize it immediately in calls and messages. So I really feel more safe with that on the Pixel, and I love that. But overall, the actual phones, they work good. But because they have the louder speaker, the iPhone could be a little bit louder if you're a speakerphone caller. But other than that, Not a massive difference here either. Pretty much the same 2 months later. One of the biggest issues though is if you plan to sell your phone later, the iPhone is going to net you massively more money than the Pixel. The Pixel right now is worth a good penny. But if you just wait 1 year, this phone is only going to be worth about $400, 300 something bucks. The iPhone's still going to net you like $800 or more. So if you're the type of person who likes to upgrade every year, but you don't like to pay full price every year, and you want to get a big chunk of change towards your next phone, you got to go with the iPhone. There's just no way around. I think what's crazy though is that right now, and this is my conclusion, right now that the iPhone costed this much more than the Pixel, but they're this tight at $799. This feels like an absolute value crush for the Pixel. I mean, the only reason you go with this is because you're entrenched in the ecosystem. You love the iPhone experience. You don't even pay attention to Android phones. And it's just not something you want. And you're willing to pay the price for the resale value, for the longevity factor. Pixel has promised many years of updates, and they actually tell you exactly what they're promising. So that's a good thing. And you will get strong years of updates, but if you're planning to trade off, you'll get the better resale. It's just crazy how tightly even these phones are becoming, yet the Pixel still retains a cheaper price point, which makes it very desirable. I feel like at the end of the day, it comes down to which platform you want, but these are definitely in the top two best of the year. We put the S23 Ultra at number 1, but these are up there. They really are. So let me know which one you would pick. And if you enjoyed my 2 months later experience, this is my review on these two after using them 2 months. Let me know if you enjoyed it. I'll consider making more like this. Stay tuned. If I don't catch you till after the holidays, have a happy holidays. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.